Hey everybody, I'm Emily Sweeney from the Boston Globe, and I want to thank you all for joining us for this episode of 3 Requests, 3 Stories. This webinar is part of our ongoing series on New England State Public Records Laws. Be sure to check out our previous episodes, which can be found on the New England First Amendment Coalition's YouTube channel, and also the NEFAC's website. Leading today's session with us today is Jordan Fenster, and he's a senior reporter at Hearst, Connecticut Media Group. Thanks so much for joining us, Jordan.
Thanks a lot, Emily. My pleasure and honor to be here. I promise I won't, be too boring. I want to preface that I don't often use strict FOIA language. I routinely make requests of state government every day of the week, 5 days a week, sometimes 3-4 times a day. I make data requests and information requests of state government. Only occasionally do I use actual FOIA law, actual FOIA language, and I use it for what I think of as what I organize it into 3 separate categories. So it's, my first example is what I think of as the informal use of it, like a way to say, hey, just a reminder, buddy, I know we talk every day, but you are kind of required by law to provide me information. Thanks so much. Number 2 is very often, these state and state sources of information are mired in bureaucracy. And so if you offer to provide them with a formal FOIA request, it can make their jobs easier. It can make it easier for them to actually provide you the information that you're looking for. And then, finally, it's because they literally don't have a choice. And whether they want to or not, they have to provide you the information. And if they don't, we're going to fight it. And they know it. And you can see my little asterisk down there. So I'll move on. My first one is, is the more polite request. This was sent on Christmas Eve to a member of our state government, an aide to our governor. And as you can see in the request, it has like, a Merry Christmas there, an apology to do this on Christmas Eve, which is one of the reasons I really wanted to get this in more formal language. And what we were looking for was contracts and emails and, between a contracted communications firm. They gave it to us. We ended up getting most of it. The emails turned up absolutely nothing. The contract itself was breaking news. It was $250,000 for 3 months to deal with me, actually. I mean, that's the irony of it all, is they were being paid to answer questions from me, which I thought was kind of funny. Number 2 is it helps them to do their jobs. In this case, this is a request from to the DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles. I was looking for vanity plates. I had the idea I bet you, in the middle of the pandemic, I said to myself, oh, I bet people have gotten COVID-related vanity plates. And I didn't have the actual request on file, but I wanted to just give you the way it went. Is she was stonewalling me a little bit, and I got the sense. I said, hey, Sean is her name. Would it help if I provided formal language and because they've got lawyers that they have to go through. So I sent the check and I sent the formal request, and surprise, surprise, the check gets cashed. It took forever, and then out of nowhere, the document, the spreadsheets came in my email. Now, we requested it. I always request FOIA by email because we do offer to pay any reproduction costs if they're necessary. I'd rather not, but in this case, we paid for the time it took for their data people to dig the information out of the antiquated system. This was the information that we received. On the left, you have a list of approved license plates, vanity plates. In the specific time period on the right, you have a list of denied vanity plates, and I'll show you some of the ones that we came out. You see there's mass hole there. I don't know if anybody in Boston might care, but then so we got some funny ones that we ended up, these are reproductions, of course, but you know, thought it was a good story. Anyway, moving on. I'm going to a little too quickly, I imagine. I was trying to report a story about a relationship between the mayor of the town of Branford, Connecticut, and a contractor for the town, a company that had, well, the relationship was complicated. I'll try to explain it as quickly as I can. The mayor has a company over here. You can see Evergreen Landscaping and Supply. The owner of one company that contracts with this town is on the board of, is a principal member of Evergreen Landscaping, and the company ACA Landscaping that has the contracts with the town actually rents space from the mayor of the town. Okay, so I had there's a lot of information that I was able to find online. All sorts of stuff, the certificate of organization, all sorts of business documents that they had to file with the state that show the principles of various organizations. I was able to go up to Branford and take pictures. And I actually had confirmed, I called the mayor and I got the mayor to confirm that, yes, that relationship does exist, which was all great. But I didn't have everything. I needed more. So what I got using FOIA was the bid documents and purchase orders and the complete contracts that go back. This took a while. I had made innumerable phone calls asking for these documents. They did not want to provide them. They were stonewalling me. The town, remember, this is the town, the mayor's in control, and they stonewalled me again and again. And I always try to be nice about things. My way of doing my job is to create relationships, and I want very much to have a good relationship with these people for future stories, so that they feel comfortable telling me what they might not want to otherwise tell me. In this case, they didn't want to give me this information. The FOIA request opened the door, and I provided here, like, no response after 10 calls. It was more than 10 calls, actually, to a variety of departments within the town. I send one FOIA request and let them know with a confirmation phone call that I had sent that FOIA request. And within, a very short time, a couple days, boom, the selectman's office had sent me the attachment. It sent me all those documents. So I used it as a hammer in that case. And so those are the three ways that I use FOIA is, and I'll just go through them again, is number one is just to, to remind them that they have to provide it to me. Number two is just to make their jobs easier. And number three is to force them against their will. And then just for fun, I provided a picture of my dog, because why not? My cat is jealous, by the way, that she's not.
That's a great picture.
He looks stoned, I think.
Yeah, no, this is so, I love your vanity plate idea. That's a very stealable idea. And I hope everybody watching this episode, if you're a journalist, I know I'm like thinking, I'm like, hey, maybe I should like look into this and send a FOIA off. That's great. It's really good.
Yeah,
stuff.
I think honestly, this one is also stealable. Any contracts for outside contractors that the state is paying are FOIable, and fascinating stories. They're usually for exorbitant sums of money, and there's an interesting angle here that I'm going to tip my hat against, is it cheaper to pay a contractor or to pay employed people to do the same job? In this case, there had been an employed communications director who had left his job and fired, whatever. I don't need to rehash that. And in the middle of the pandemic had to rush to get somebody to do their job. Now, in this case, it turned out to be for an extent, I think they ended up paying them $1 million. Yeah, which is, pretty cool, so that was, so I'm now going through that, working through submitting other FOIA requests for other contracts that the state has with other private entities.
Mhm.
So also very stealable, but nobody in Connecticut other than Hearst should steal that story from me.
Yeah, seriously. And now, and the FOIA request that you sent for this story, the contract story, did you, I don't know, do you have a copy of that?
That's it.
Wow. Yeah. So, you were tipped off about, the
No.
communications contract, or
this
was just a fishing expedition?
It was a little more than a fishing expedition, but there's a lot of institutional knowledge. So we knew that the previous communications director had left. I'm friends with him on Facebook. We know this company, Doobie McDowell is the name of the company. We've worked with Maura Fitzgerald in the past, who is, was the specific, like people who work with Doobie McDowell have formerly been reporters, and so we knew that this was happening, and I just needed to get how much they were actually being paid. I thought when I was digging up, the phishing part of it was the emails between the aforementioned agencies and McDowell Communications, Doobie McDowell and or Maura Fitzgerald during the same time frame. That was the phishing expedition. I thought we were going to get some juicy, page 6 kind of stuff about the previous communications guy. It ended up being nothing. And of course, there was some other stuff about, like the relationship between the governor and the owner of this firm that we were hoping to dig up, but none of that came to fruition. So, but the contract itself turned out to be a pretty good story, and we were able to break that.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing story. I can't believe $250K for 3 months. That's quite a gig. Yeah. So I don't know if anybody in the live audience has any questions.
But just to challenge, I just want to challenge anybody who's listening here to ask me a question. Go ahead, stump me.
Bring it. All right, we got one here.
Will you make the language of your communication, specifically emails, available? I don't know that I can say yes to that. You mean my emails to the governor and to the governor's office, or the emails that we received in response to the FOIA request? In the event that it's my emails to the governor, they are public, as you can see. In the event that it's the emails that we got from the governor's office, I don't know that I can say yes to that. I would need to check with the people who pay my salary.
Yeah, and Joel said just the requests.
Just the requests.
I guess you answered that.
Yeah, the problem that I have is my emails disappear. So this request I was able to dig up. Not all of my requests are necessarily available, and so I apologize about that. I make tons of requests. I see Matt asked, how do you carve out time for pressing FOIA requests like this while juggling daily news? Is a difficult question. You carve out time by prioritizing what is important and what isn't important. A daily story, can it wait 10 minutes for me to actually write a FOIA request? Is it worth a conversation with my editor or a smart reader to really figure out what we're missing? I think that it's a matter of prioritization and really smart, like paying attention to what's going on in the community.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think this video series too, I mean, I've seen, it's just great to see like actual examples of requests that have been filed. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure it doesn't take long to do. And I think sometimes it's easy, like when you get to the date of the day, how it is being a reporter, you got so many stories like being thrown at you. Sometimes you forget how easy it is and how much like great stuff you can get, by sending off, public records requests,
Yeah.
So.
It is sometimes there is some great stuff that you can get. And so often the key is to really refine your request and that's what takes the most time. To Matt's point, is really knowing what you need to ask for. I've made a couple of doozies I'm not going to share where I've asked for far too much information. I've gotten, the entire tablets back from on high, and I have no idea what to do with it. There's a couple of stories like that I'm sitting on right now. I have far too much data to go through and no idea. So now I'm thinking taking the time, carving out that time now to refine my requests and to go back to the well and ask better questions.
Jordan, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Emily, and thanks everybody who watched.